But we're not done yet. We end up here at Potter's Fieldhouse, the home of the East Liverpool Potters. Kade Reynolds, their head coach. Union, big game, Buckeye 8, all sorts of implications coming up. Salem on Saturday. Great time to come to the Fieldhouse, pack the place. No better way to celebrate the season, although they weren't celebrating their first loss of the year, a close one to St. Clairsville. So let's recap. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, anytime you get into St. Clairsville, it's a hostile environment. Great crowd, great student section, always a tough place to play. They punched us early. We got down big early, but of course we stormed back again in the second and third quarter like we have been. Hate making a habit out of that. But anyway, took a fourth quarter lead. We had the 5-point lead, I think, with, 4 and some change left, and just turned it over 3 possessions in a row and kind of coughed it up and just couldn't catch back up.
I was with Coach Bariski earlier, and the thing that he gave you praise about, and I totally agree, you're relentless. I mean, even when you were down to his basketball team by a huge number at half, you just never gave up. So even though you would love to have had that one back against St. Clairsville, the whole mission is we survive, we thrive, meaning you just got to continue to work your way through a game. And more times than not, at the end of the game, you're going to find yourself in the W column, but you can never take a step backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of our motto is that, we're not dead yet. It's not over until it's over. It's a great motto to have, but I don't want us to keep getting really comfortable in these uncomfortable situations. Sometimes when you play with fire too much, you're going to get burnt, and we have to just capitalize. 5-point lead, 4 minutes left. Our ball, that's when you should step on the throat, but instead we turned it over. So as much as these kids have this never die mentality, like, we got to start getting better in those situations and not put ourselves, in those last second games constantly.
Coming into this year, doing a little bit of research, and one of the things that was the thing that everybody agreed upon, you could score the basketball. I mean, you guys have the ability to shoot anywhere on the floor at any time. You have a great ability to go north-south with the best of them. But no matter what anyone says, it all comes down to defense.
Absolutely.
You got to be forcing the turnovers as opposed to being, the Wild West, looking for that shot, even when there may not seem to be a shot. And in some cases, more times than not, you turn the ball over. So it's not so much always about offense. You have to be able to play lockdown defense, and you also have to be able to force turnovers.
Yeah, and, I think that this was something that I think people maybe didn't think that this team was going to be able to do, is play some defense. And I think through the first 7 games, we've shown that this team is gritty and they want to play defense. They take it personal that people don't think that they want to guard. It's kind of been that stigma for a long time. That's all we're going to do is get up and down. And these kids want to sit in the stands and play some defense. I mean, we're holding teams to 40, 50, even 60 points when St. C is going to score 70 and 80 more times than not.
So we have our holiday Hoops Classic coming up Sunday on KDK. It starts off right after the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show. Coach Bariski of Lincoln Park will be the signature, the marquee matchup to end the day against the Montour Spartans. I remember back when I was here for decades, we always had that big holiday hoop tournament here at Potter's Fieldhouse. And everyone, I mean, even from the City League in Pittsburgh, you name it, that Wheeling Park, they came to this place because it was the mecca of basketball. You want these young men to understand who they're playing for here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that name across the front of our chest is way more important than any name that goes across the back of our chest or the back of your jersey. And they need to realize, the history and the Potter faithful, and they're not just playing for themselves, but they're playing for a city. And I'm hoping to bring that holiday classic and those big crowds back here, hopefully next year.
So I know you're a guy that just does not like to lose, and that's one of the things that I really picked up on very first time I shook your hand. So how do you take that loss, that disappointing close loss against St. Clairsville that many thought you should have won, and now you got boom, Union, big Buckeye 8 matchup, Salem, big rival. How do you get these guys locked in again, get some of that tenacity going?
I think they kind of share that same mindset. They hate to lose as well, and it's one game. I mean, it is what it is. Obviously, everyone wants to win every game, but the only way I think we truly lost the other night is if we let it compound. If you let it build and make into 2 losses, 3 losses, 4 losses, but if you take something and learn from it and get better from our mistakes, that loss doesn't really mean anything right now.
One thing I've noticed about the Buckeye 8, and man, if we were doing the Buckeye 8 when I was here, especially with that early morning wake-up call that I've had for 40 years at KDK at 2 a.m., man, it would have been tough. And when I went outside the other night and I saw the buses from Cambridge, I thought, boy, you guys are airing up a lot of miles via the bus to play in this Buckeye 8. How does that make you feel having to travel to some of these places?
I mean, it's tough traveling down down the river. Seems like I've been doing it forever now. But it's good. I mean, right now there's some good basketball down there. You know, Martin's Ferry's up. They got a great big man. Cambridge is obviously up. Cambridge can shoot the lights out. I think they hit 13 threes against us. They hit 15 threes against Beaver Local the other night. St. Clairsville, obviously, great program. Union Local, great program. So the Buckeye 8's definitely on the up. So that definitely makes that travel a little better than, you know, obviously going down to Creek and facing a legend. Coach Dunleavy is always great as well. So
how many years has he been there? I mean, going back to Mingo.
You're talking 40 plus. I mean, the court's named after him now, which is very
And he's
rare.
actually coaching on the court.
Yep.
So these Jets that you're going to take on Union Local, tell me about these guys.
Union's very well coached. You know, I'm really close with their head coach, Zach Dellman. Zach has these kids playing very, very hard. They always buy into what he does. The school follows them. They got a great following with the school. They're going to play really, really hard. They're going to try to speed us up, make us turn the ball over, and it should be a good one tomorrow night.
Now, Salem, that's a rivalry. I mean, that's one of those games that everybody looks for. So give me a little bit about the Quakers.
Salem's been tough through the years. They've played some really close games with some really good teams. So I'm excited to get that in Saturday afternoon. They actually flexed the game to a 3:00 start because of the Buckeyes. So I'm hoping it's another good one with Salem too. It's always tough playing, a county team like that.
So here you are getting ready to celebrate this season with that beautiful family. Is it hard to take your mind away from this game, even when you're working or spending time with the family? I mean, you really have put yourself all in here, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely all in, but I think it helps when the people at home are all in too. Obviously, she wants me to win. She's asking, hey, are you going to watch film tonight? You going to do this or that?
Does she sit and watch film with you?
She doesn't watch it with me, but she sits on the couch while I do watch it. She's always asking me who we play next. Are they any good? How's it going to go? But it is hard to separate yourself from it. But when I walk in the house and little man's ready to play, it makes it really easy to step away from it a little bit. So
let me just give you some fatherly advice here. And I am old enough to be your father. And I've been at this game a long time, and I've done it at every level. But how quick time goes by. So it's many Christmases ago, long, long time ago, in another life, in another place far, far away. A young broadcaster rolls in from Beaver County, and I walk into this palatial place like a kid in a candy store. Couldn't believe the size, the immensity, the beauty of this place. And on the court was a guy by the name of Jim Irons, who was a legendary coach who you probably never even heard of. He coached in Freedom. Let me tell you the kind of coach he was. He actually, one of his star players was getting out of hand for Freedom. He walked out to center court in the midst of a capacity crowd, not defending, but grabbing that jersey and simply dragging him to the bench. He was a guy who really loved the game, could play the game. But, man, when I heard that was the Jim Irons that I remembered from Freedom, I thought, can it get any better? And then I saw Mark Douglas and Nelson and all these guys, Christian. And then it went to Alan Blythe and Burson, and it goes on and on and on. And, of course, that Long family, the son of Sean filming this video, the athletes are here. The history is here. But now is the opportunity for us, I believe. And I even told Mike Brisky this. I said, look, I love Lincoln Park. It is in Pennsylvania. But when you're behind the microphone for 8 months of your life, year after year, not a handful, but 20 years going back and forth to Pittsburgh, this is my home. And I do this on my own dime because I love promoting the blue and white. But people need to understand we truly are all, even at this stage of my career, standing on the shoulders of giants, people who have come before us to make this a historic school district, community, the pottery capital of the world, but more importantly, the basketball tradition from the MA, now Kent, to here. When you think about it, there's not a better story anywhere in Ohio, and for that matter, the tri-state. This really is a basketball community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you said, there's people that come before you. Like, I know Coach Conley wants me to succeed, and I think he expects me to succeed. He expects me to give everything I have to this program like he did. And Nick Alloy, those old coaches are the same way. Like I see Coach Alloy at Tim Hortons all the time in the morning. He's always asking me how the team's doing. So, I mean, I feel that from a coaching perspective too. You definitely want to make sure that you give this program all you have and give it everything that it deserves.
I'm glad you brought up Nick Alloy's name. Nick Alloy, who was always in that blue blazer with that same white shirt and that same tie. And yeah, those Hager pants. He wasn't a fashion plate. But let me just tell you all a little bit about Nick Alloy. Nick Alloy grew up in a little town known as Midland, Pennsylvania, was an assistant to Eddie Okowski, where the court is named after him at the old Midland High School, which is now Lincoln Park. They're getting ready to build this multi-million-dollar event center. A lot of the things that have been happening is because what Coach Boriski has done, how they have brought back that basketball program. But back in the day, as we get ready to celebrate that 60th anniversary of that 65 team, Norm Van Leer, Simi Hill, all of the names that we have known and loved through the years, the Gomez's, the Kirbys, the Slappies, the McGlure, Nick Alloy was a tremendous basketball player who went on to play at Bowling Green. And I know for people who remember him as a coach, they're probably thinking, Nick Alloy, he was a great tactician, but he was a great basketball player.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I've heard stories, obviously, about, you know, how great he was. And, I mean, it obviously showed whenever he took over the coaching level as well that he knew the game for sure.
He was the first to tell me, Coach, and you'll appreciate this because we talk about it all the time, and I have a feeling he's going to be putting fresh coats of paints on some of these playgrounds and these courts, and in the searing heat of the summer, they're going to be playing basketball for sure. But Nick has told me this story time and time again. When that midnight shift or 3 to 11, when that place that was Crucible Steel would come out, those men hard at work to eat their 2 sandwiches, they would take those Chevy Impalas and those Fords and put the headlights on the court on Midland Avenue to give those young men a little extra light because they were playing basketball into the night under a moon, and they played all the way until dawn because basketball was their life. Nothing comes easy, and to be able to have the reputation that truly is the claim to fame of East Liverpool, you got to pay your dues and you got to put in the work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as many courts as we can get redone, you know, in the future is huge because these kids need to play outside. They need to not be, you know, coached all the time and just learn how to cut and play defense and play through physicality and play through fouls on the court because, you know, it shows that kids don't play outside as much, and we definitely need more of that.
I'll leave you with this. Do you realize in just a few days, some young man or woman will wake up to a Spalding basketball, their first basketball they've ever owned. They'll sleep with it. They'll walk around with it. They'll carry it with them. They'll pedal their bicycle with it because all you need is a pair of sneakers, a basketball, and you can truly change the course of your life.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it gives kids opportunities to go to school. You know, it pays for some families to live. I mean, if you make it professional, but not even at that level, it gives some kids an outlet. It gives them an outlet to get away from maybe stuff that's going on at home or just the stress of everyday life. It gives them that outlet just to go and have fun and to release some of that energy.
The team concept, it's all about team. Don't forget Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show each and every week after local news at 11, and those Coons Market sports reports every half hour starting at 5:15 a.m. up until 7:45 a.m. And the Holiday Hoops Classic coming up Sunday beginning at 1 after Black and Gold. And tomorrow, you met those coaches earlier this week, Coach Petcash, of course, Pine Richland, and Coach Big Gregorio, of course, of North Allegheny on the Power of Bowser Friday Night Basketball. I'm done. That's a wrap. Long day for your Pratt Pack. Have a great night from the Potter Fieldhouse in that basketball community of East Liverpool, Ohio. Good night.